Hello everyone, welcome to the Software Business and Ecosystem lecture. My name is Tuomas Mäkilä and this is Kaapo Seppälä.
Hello.
In this lecture we are going to go through what is software as a business. And to understand software as a business, we first have to understand how the potential customer sees the software. So there are kind of two key things that differ software from most of the rest products there are. First, software is intangible, and secondly, software is bound to hardware. And these two characteristics lead to different things. For example, because software is intangible, it's very easy to manufacture new copies of software. It's basically pressing a button and then you have a copy of software.
Also, you don't have traditional logistics costs there.
Yeah.
If you compare with the manufacturing of bicycles, for example.
Yeah, and in traditional engineering, in traditional business, lots of effort is put to designing the manufacturing part to optimize the actual manufacturing. But in software, there is no such need. And the second thing, because the software is bound to hardware, it means that when you are doing software commercially, you are always reliable from
other stakeholders, like the owner and developer of the platform. So, and it also will, the platform, if it's successful, it will also lead to your success.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, when it gets to, for example, the Microsoft mobile platform, it can also leave you in a little bit troublesome situation if the platform is not going to be successful.
Yeah. And we are going to talk about ecosystems in this lecture also, because they are especially important in software world. When we consider how the customers actually acquire software, there are four kind of main ways for doing this. Make, buy, license, and subscribe. The idea is that when we are talking about making software, then person who needs software, he is buying software engineers to his company who are producing the software. The second option, buying, is that you can acquire these customized software solutions for companies that are doing software development. License means that you are buying license for software. This is kind of traditional way to buy off-the-shelf software. You get this box. There is some diskettes or something like that, and then you install the software to your computer. You get license to use the software, but you actually don't own the software. And the last option, subscribe, is kind of modern way to acquire software by buying cloud services, paying monthly or yearly fee.
Yes, and in many cases, when you are a software subscriber, you don't necessarily have anything installed into your own computer except maybe some kind of client software.
Yeah.
So subscription services are usually scalable in many ways, and you can also purchase, or if you are a developer or seller, you can offer a various set of features, and then the customer can scale up the possibilities and features of the software they are using.
Yeah. And well, you mentioned the keyword there, service. So I think the difference between license and subscribe option is that in license method, the party who is acquiring software gets only the software more like a product.
Yes, you're basically alone with the software.
Yeah.
Of course, they can produce you some kind of support, but basically you are purchasing the license to use the software, you install it, and then you use it.
Yeah.
A very classical way.
Yeah, and in Subscribe, we are more and more talking about services, like full service. You don't have to worry about updates. You don't have to worry about infrastructure. You just pay the monthly fee and get the service from the cloud.
Of course, we are talking about these license and subscription businesses a lot, but we have to emphasize that the number 1 and 2, they are not going to fade away. So, for example, the buying customized solutions is a very crucial part of software project business, even this day. So basically, sometimes the companies need to acquire tailored services. They might have some specific need, but they are unwilling or incapable of producing that by themselves, and there might be some kind of demand for the market. So then you just order it from a company who delivers projects.
Yeah, and that's true. And this basically summarizes this kind of external viewpoint to the software business. Yeah. Then we look a little bit about the components of the business when you are looking from inside the company. So some of you may have seen this business model canvas model or tool which is used in startup scene to summarize or elaborate the business. But the business model canvas actually provides quite good overview of the components that are present in everyday business activities. So if we look at the canvas, there is the value proposition in the center, basically the product and what it means to the customers. Then on the left hand side we have these key resources, key activities, key partners that are needed to produce that service or product. And on the right hand side we have the things related to the customer. What are the customer segments? How we uphold or keep the customers happy, and what channels we use to get to the customer. And then on the lower part of the canvas we have the cost structure, so the outgoing money and revenue streams like incoming money.
So as you know, this is a generic model, so basically the companies can use this to help to orientate the business and to understand your own business a little bit better, regardless of what you're actually going to make.
Yeah, and this is quite good way to understand what else you have to take into consideration besides the product development itself, the software development itself, when you are doing actual business. These things can be implemented in small teams, so 1 or 2 person are taking care of multiple things in the canvas, making the actual opening the channels to customers, making the negotiation with the partners and taking care of the money. But of course we can have bigger companies that have separate persons to handle these different parts.
That's right. So even regardless how many people you have the specific roles, and the roles are like they can be tagged to one person, or then there are specific persons.
Yeah. So this is the kind of inside look to the business activities, which also apply to the software business. Well, now we have looked what is difference from software business from traditional business. We have looked at the components that build the company or business activities around the product development, and next we are going to go through the ecosystem, which at the beginning of the lecture we mentioned that is very important for software and software business.
Yes, so here I suggest you will focus on the middle part of the diagram. So we have the platform in the middle, and then we have on both sides, up and down, we have the consumers, so the end consumers, the user of the software you are going to be making by using that platform. And then in the lower level, there is you. So basically there is the content production, which is basically depending on the platform, but also there is interaction in both ways between the platform and the producers, because the platform developer and platform owner is also depending on the user and the frequency of the users, so that they can serve them better.
Yeah. So basically the key message here is that to all actors in this picture, they are dependent of each other. So the platform provider cannot exist without the content providers. The content providers need the platform to produce the necessary content efficiently, and they get channeled to the customers. And the customers, the platform will provide easy way to acquire the software.
Yes, and when the consumer is kind of in our focus, the consumer will be making decisions on the platform. They want to have certain type of like mobile devices, and then the users also want to have a certain type of software that is compatible with the device and compatible with their own needs. So it's a very complex scenario, and always you have to take the consumer into account, but you have to accept the limitations and potential and possibilities of the platform that they will provide you.
Yeah. Well, what does these platforms mean in practice? We have a couple of slides trying to concretize this idea. So here we have a slide with a little bit more technological perspective to platforms. So this is something the software engineers has to constantly take into consideration. We have different operating systems. Nowadays we have these desktop operating systems. Then we have these mobile operating systems, and more we are using this web-based environment, which can be used in both desktop and in mobile. And they are both business and technological aspects to be taken into consideration when working in these ecosystems. So you have to decide which ecosystem you will serve, whether you, or maybe you want to serve them all. There are these technological things you have to take into consideration when you select some of these. They are using different programming languages, they are offering different services to the developers, and they are as mentioned before, they are not static. They are constantly changing. So you have to take this technological evolution into consideration.
You have to monitor the platform and how it evolves all the time, because it's a very important decision. If you have the situation that you need to select one platform that you want to use, you want to know what is the best platform for the product you are going to make, for the consumer segment you are thinking, or the user segment you are thinking, and then you need to monitor it all the way. In case something happens, you need to re-evaluate the situation.
Yeah. And talking about the business side, of course, these different platforms, they interest a little bit different audiences. Well, nowadays the division is not so clear, but for example, in Linux, if you are providing this professional software for example, system administrators, then you probably have to focus on Linux platform. At least a few years ago, if you wanted to provide this creative software, like for video editing or something like that, then maybe you would first look at the OS X,
yes,
and so on. So you have to understand that there are different consumers there in different platforms.
And also differences. Some of the customers, they are actually public customers.
Yeah.
They might have some reasons regarding the security supply and even political reasons for taking some specific platform.
Yeah.
So you need to understand what kind of business you are going to make and who is going to be the customer. And if they have some limitations or preferences, you have to take them into account.
Yeah. And of course, different platforms, they require different how to say, business transactions from you, or agreements. The environment between the platform provider and the content provider is different depending on the platform.
Yes,
so
that's right. Even something like publishing the software in mobile platforms, they are a little bit different processes, and they take different amount of time. Let's say if you are publishing something on Play Store and if you are publishing something on Apple Store, so there is a significant difference. The Play Store is going out in 24 hours, and when you are having the iOS version, it will take up to 1.5 or 2 weeks before the evaluation is over.
Yeah, and from this we actually get to the next slide, where we have these digital marketplaces, which bring these business aspects even more concrete than the operating systems. So as Kaapo mentioned, there are different ecosystems there. They work a little bit differently. There are even sub-ecosystems. So we have, for example, these general level stores like App Store and Play, but then we have more focused digital marketplaces which form their own ecosystems. Like for game products, there are Steam and Humble Bundle and this kind of digital ecosystems that provide store functionality, but also additional functionality to both the consumer and the content developer. Then we have these business oriented ecosystems, digital marketplaces. For example, Salesforce has been highly successful cloud service. They have their own app marketplace. Google is providing these business cloud services, and then they provide marketplace for third-party software developers to provide the additional services to the Google offer.
Yes. And I would like to add that these, for example, these platforms we have here, they are different when it comes to the threshold. That if you are a startup company, some of the platforms they support pivoting and early access, etc. They might be giving more support than other platforms where you have to enter with more ready-made and more polished product.
Yeah. So to put it short, ecosystems in software business, they are important. You have to understand the differences between the key ecosystems, and if you select and when you select one of these ecosystems or a few of these ecosystems, you have to follow how they evolve and how these changes will affect your own business.
Yes.
Okay, that was our lecture about software business and ecosystems. Thank you all.
Thank you. Kesti varmaan vähän.